Hi, and welcome back to Crowdfunding Countdown, where we take a look at every single board game campaign finishing up in the next week. And this is a special jam-packed episode because it's actually going to cover the next 2 weeks. Actually, I just realized that I lied to you, and I can just record this both at the same time. So there will be one next week, and I'll just divide it into 2 manageable chunks, and that way you won't miss me too much. So let's get right into it, but before we do, aka let's not get right into it, let's talk about this week's sponsor. And this is something that I am incredibly excited to talk about because it's this t-shirt company, Into the AM. And they're a company whose products I have really loved over the past year, basically. Some of the shirts that I've purchased from them in the last little while look like this. Or this one. Or this one, which you haven't seen the back of, but it's this cool surfer reaper dude that I think is cool and Renee hates. Or this one, which I think might be my favorite one that I own. I think it's just like really calming. So I was immensely excited for them to reach out to me and say, hey, we think your channel would be a good fit for our brand. And I agree. I've been wearing it nonstop. And now I get the opportunity to tell you about it, get a couple free shirts along the way, and, get paid. A match made in heaven. Joke's on you, Into the AM. I would have worn these for free. Oh no, they're gonna see this. So they sent me a couple new designs, like the one that you saw at the beginning of the video, and wanted me to do a promo spot about it. And most importantly, they've given me a code for you to get 10% off anything. And this applies to anything. This applies to any of their sales too. So I've done this in the past. I've gotten their 10% off, and I've applied it to their clearance items, and it works really well. That's how I've gotten so many shirts, by taking advantage of these clearance deals. Even not on clearance, they're not bad for shirts. I'm super cheap and only buy things on the sale rack, as you probably know. But they've got a combo of 3 for $60 for graphic tees, so $20 a shirt. This is all in US prices as well. And then 3 for $50 or 3 for $49.95 for their basic tees. And so I was really excited because I don't have any of their basic tees, but now I do. Like this one with the little Into the AM symbol on it. And I'm sorry this is such a long ad, but I want to make sure that you're fully informed if you're thinking about purchasing these things. And honestly, I really think you should, because the reason I have kept coming back to the company is because the shirts feel so good. They're such a nice, comfortable quality, and the basic tees are comfortable as well. And I'm just so excited to get some solid basic colors in addition to the graphic ones, because graphic ones are fun. I like to get graphic ones for this channel specifically because I feel like it's kind of an outfit, it appeals to our inner nerd, and I think a lot of people can relate and enjoy them. But sometimes it's just nice having a basic tee as well. So with my code, you can get 10% off. And the best part about this arrangement is I got to pick the code. And of course, the code, if you're familiar with the channel, you'll know the significance of this. It's code SLIPPERYJIM. Go to the link down below or put in the code SLIPPERYJIM and you will get 10% off your purchase. And honestly, I want this partnership, this channel sponsorship, if that's the direction that we go, to continue so significantly, because I get to use that stupid code, and I'm just so excited about it. If you're thinking about purchasing, I'm wearing, I'll push the camera up so you can see a little bit more of the fit. This is a medium right now, and I also got a large in the basic as well, which I will turn into now. It worked. Look at that. Magic. And honestly, I like both fits. I think I like the medium better. For reference, I'm 6 feet, 5'11 and a half, 6 feet, and I weigh around 190 pounds. That's where I oscillate between. The large is a little baggier on me, but sometimes you want that for, comfort and just like hanging around. Whereas if I want to feel like more of a tighter shirt, then I'd go for the medium. So I'm happy that I have both. It's a little bit baggier and it's a little bit more comfortable, as opposed to the one you saw at the beginning, which I'm going to change into, which is a medium. Yeah, and so this is the medium, and you can see kind of, it's a very similar fit, but there's noticeable differences. I haven't yet put this one in the wash and in the dryer, and I think they shrink just like a little bit, so be aware of that as well. There we go, we're back. But really, please do go check it out. Use my code SLIPPERYJIM for 10% off. Oh, and it makes me so happy just saying that I hope you do consider and use it, because selfishly, I want this to continue so I can still keep saying use my code SLIPPERYJIM for 10% off. But also, legitimately, I hate buying clothing and I hate spending full price for clothing, and I think the price on these for a cheapo like me is still really good because of the fit and the design that you get with these. I likely will not purchase shirts from another place because I'm so spoiled with the quality of these. So check it out. That's the last I'll say about Into the AM. Thanks to them for sponsoring this segment of the video. And honestly, I'm just happy that they gave me a few more shirts to wear. But more importantly than Into the AM, I want to give a huge shout out to my newest patron, Sebastian. Thank you so much for jumping on board. It really means the world to me that people are interested in supporting the channel and supporting the work that I put into these videos, other than last week. And speaking of that, thanks again to Thomas, Jeffrey, and Eric, because I said I'd give you the double shout out, and you haven't canceled yet. You haven't canceled in a week, and honestly, that means a lot. But for however long you end up supporting the channel on Patreon, know that I'm just incredibly grateful that anybody wants to continue to support the time that I spend on these sorts of videos. It's been a very busy month, and your support allows me to take the time that I do and not have to spend it doing other odd jobs. Really, that's what it boils down to. But enough of that, let's get right into the week. And I've heard your comments loud and clear. You want to see less of my face and more of board game pages, so that's what we're going to do moving forward. But that doesn't mean that I haven't investigated the campaigns to the extent that I normally do. I made it this week. I clawed out the time. But I think you're right. I was fighting against this format for so long, and it just shows you more of the game and less of me. And honestly, that's the most important thing. So let's switch it up and get right into the first game of the week, which is... And first up, we have Clinic. Now, this is actually the deluxe Biohazard expansion to Clinic, and there have been countless expansions, as you see in this little video right here. Well, I mean, you could count them. Overall, there's been about 48 to 50 modules related to this game, and that's just bananas to me. If you're playing a game and you need 48 to 50 modules to vary up the rule sets and the differences between them, it's just bananas. Yeah, right here. So with that being said, do you need one more? Well, let's see. Honestly, I was prepared to be a little angry at Clinic, and I was in a very good mood today too, because that they're only offering either this new expansion to the game, the Biohazard expansion, or they're offering everything. And if you scroll all the way down, let's just go down to risks, because then we're closer. In their add-on section, they're not even offering you a place to actually get the game. They're just offering you a different game that you can potentially add on just in case you wanted to spend more than the 259 euros that you feel compelled to spend because you just heard of Clinic and someone said it was okay. But this is a game all about running a hospital, and the game actually seems fairly interesting. I'm getting distracted because I know there's not going to be any B-roll, but you know what? We're just going with it. Again, feedback about this new change in format is always welcome. I just know I'm going to get distracted by the moving pictures, which are happening on the computer at the same time as I'm talking to you. But basically, you can kind of see on this board here, you're going to have your own little personal board, and you're going to be managing your own personal hospital. So you're going to get these different tiles, and those tiles will represent rooms, and then you have to juggle a number of things. Every time you get a new person, a new little car comes onto the hospital. So you're not only managing the hospital, you're also managing the parking lot. And every time you need to move people around, that costs you physical time, which will give you negative points at the end of the game. So you're trying to optimize using this hospital the best as you can while gaining new workers, new rooms, and competing with others around the table. Basically, that's the gist of the game. And then this very new special campaign is concluding the Clinic Deluxe Edition. We're never going to hit that 51st module. We've finally hit a nice round even number, and we can lay ourselves to rest. This example is called the Biohazard expansion, but it's also just the refuse expansion. It's the Dirty Diaper expansion, and it deals with all the refuse produced when patients are treated. So the syringes that you're using to inject them with super soldier serum and all that sort of stuff. And honestly, if you love Clinic, you're probably already getting this. It's 19 euros. $26 Canadian, and it's only €5 shipping, which is exceptional. And they also have a Biohazard level 2 here, which is again just the €5 in shipping. Getting that expansion and shipping it in a nice little box to add it to a module to a game you already love, probably something you would enjoy. That being said, I just don't see how a game that already costs €99 on their store, that's the way you can get the actual game. And it makes sense to put people through the store, except then you can't bundle shipping of everything together. So that's kind of a bummer. I don't see how you're not already getting a rich enough experience from the base game that you need to consistently add in these additional modules. I know my experience with modules is that I want them all, and then I have to remind myself that I never play with them because I'm usually introducing games to new people. And unless you're playing it over and over and over and over and over again, more than 10 times, more than 20 times, 10 times per module. Are you going to play this game 500 times? Well, then, hey, yeah, then it would be worth the deluxe price too. But if you're interested in that, just the expansion, you can't really get the game. You'd have to go to their website. That finishes Friday, September 30th at 6:24 a.m. Goodbye, rulebook. Goodbye, campaign video that just has the sounds of a hospital. Because why would you want to explain anything about the game other than making us feel like we're in a place where we might die? Ugh. Great sound design, if that's what you're going for, to actively repulse me from your game. Let's move on. Next up, we have Lying Pirates, a race for the pirate throne. It says Lying Pirates is a first-to-finish dice game, so it's a race for 2 to 6 players. A thrilling race, there you go, for the pirate throne, which lasts 10 to 15 minutes per player. So not 10 to 15 minutes, but, it's short enough. This is it's a fun video. My favorite part of this video is just at the end where they say, you know what? And if you throw a dice off the table, it's lost forever. And I just think that's very funny because I like stupid ultimatums like that. And you know what, Lying Pirates, I appreciate you. I appreciate you for that. But let's talk about the actual gameplay itself. Basically, it's Liar's Dice or Perudo mixed with Jamaica, because that's what I consider a pirate sort of race around a track. There's going to be 3 phases. You're going to have the betting phase, the sailing phase, and the action phase. Now, if you haven't played Perudo or Liar's Dice, or as it has been revamped to be known as Devilish Dice, which is the optimal way to play Liar's Dice, you're just going to roll your dice, you're going to hide them, and you're going to say, I think there are 3 skulls around everybody's cups, and you're going to look at your skulls and say, you see that you've 4 skulls, or say, well, no, there's at least 4 skulls, and you're going to keep on upping the betting until somebody calls your bluff. You're like, you're wrong, you're a liar, and then everybody reveals, and if you were wrong, well, then you lose. But in this case, your ship won't move forward along with the other people who didn't bust, basically. And that's usually how Liar's Dice proceeds. And that's usually how Devilish Dice proceeds. And very similar to Devilish Dice, once you and the survivors move on, you're going to land on an event tile. Actually, this isn't Devilish Dice, but it would work very perfectly. And then you're going to have to battle it out over who gets that event tile. So again, you roll, chuck dice at each other, see who gets it. And then finally, you get to play these special one-time use cards that do various things. Get to the end of the map first, you win. It is specifically in the rules, if you drop a dice off of a table, then it is lost into the sea and you cannot use that again. I don't know why you put it in here other than to be funny, and because you're secretly working for Big Board Game Table and you think everybody needs to have the friggin' walls so that they can hurl their dice at each other willy-nilly without any repercussions whatsoever. It seems like a fine game. It seems like it would be a fun time, get that piratey theme going, super quick, just chucking dice, and the idea of Liar's Dice is fun. That's why the game Skull is fun. That's why I play Devilish Dice with every person I meet as an icebreaker. It's just a fun thing to do. And there is still a benefit for challenging a person and saying, you're a liar, because you have to do it because it's your turn in the turn order, I guess. But you do get an additional like gold coin. And so you do get some benefits rather than just the survivors who didn't have to challenge, but also get to move on forward. The structure seems fine. I just think that this is not one where we're going the way of the chip theory. Makes sense for me personally, and yet you want that pirate treasure, so that's why they're charging €65 or $84 Canadian for just a very simple dice game, because you have all of these different deluxification. You have magnetic tiles and a magnetic map extension, and you have all these custom dice that look nice, but they're still trying to get you to pay more and pay 89 euros to get the bamboo cups, which you're going to want to get the little minis instead of wooden meeples, which I guess it looks nicer. The metal coins in the deluxe edition. It's just like, I don't see why all of these deluxe components aren't included in that base price, because it's just Perudo. And shipping is bananas expensive. $20, well, $20 not bananas, but that's, on the pricier side to the US, and then $35 to Canada, or $40 if you're getting the deluxe edition. That's like $160 to just roll a bunch of dice. But honestly, what the hell do I know? It's raised $360,000 Canadian, and good for you, Lying Dice. It honestly seems like it would be a blast, a very easy bluffing game, and those premium components will help it stand out and get to the table and perhaps attract people who aren't interested in high strategy games. But for my personal taste, I think it's way overpriced for what it is. Unless you really like the base mechanics of it, I don't know why you would invest so much money. But if you are interested, check it out. That finishes Friday, September 30th at 8 a.m. Next up, we have Quodd Heroes, the second edition of Quodd Heroes. There was a first edition, and now, well, there you go. That's why there's a second edition. What is Quodd Heroes? Well, it's a gorgeously produced scenario-based board game for 1 to 6 players. And if you're new to Kickstarter, well, let me give you my jaded approach that will guarantee that the price is exceptionally high, and too high for you. If you have to ask, probably too high. And I always have to ask. Now, it's this scenario-based game where you're gonna run your little people around the board in your painted parade of heroes and try to achieve whatever the scenario is. So you've got cooperative scenarios, you've got competitive scenarios. It also says if you have the first edition, well, then you can use those modular boards to create your own scenarios. Do they give you that option in the second edition? Nah. But you could get it if you had the first edition. Basically what you're going to do on your turn, this is our rulebook right here, you're going to power up, which is playing cards from your hand, activating your character powers. And what's kind of fun about this is that your movement is tumbling. So they say you tumble 1 space, and this is how you're going to decide what happens. Whenever you tumble, you see those things that are popping up there. Whenever you tumble, whatever side of your cube is facing upwards, that's the additional power that you get to take, basically. And I do like that. I do like that as a mechanic, that you have to roll yourself around and make sense why all your minis are square and cute and have a different thing that happens to them. And then you get to do these different skills, so you can slide or diagonal slide or dash or tumble or jump. This is their temporary rulebook that I'm just referring to. And those sort of movements are pretty self-explanatory, and you basically have to then just try and complete the quest that you're on, whatever the scenario says. They don't say in their temporary rulebook what the types of scenarios are, but we can kind of guess based around the movements. And I think the thing that is intriguing here is the actual way you maneuver around the board, and I think that's what's going to make it fast and fun. However, we have a lovely $139 price tag, $179 Canadian, or $182 Canadian, depending on which part of the thing you look at. And that just, it just seems absurd to me. I understand why this campaign canceled the first time, and let's check. And likely it's because they had too many tiers, right? You were going to pay $154 Canadian instead of $179 or $119 US, and they've just upped the price because people wanted those extra minis, right? You were going to get 7 playable heroes before, and now you get 11 playable heroes and your 11 player boards. Oh, see, I guess I should have shown the how to play with these little graphics instead of their rule books, but that's just what I look at first. And you run around activating your powers. I honestly think this looks very fun, and I love the color in it. I love the design elements to it. I like how each character is going to have its own special abilities that you can use your crystals for. If you pick up various crystals along the way, red, yellow, or blue, you can then use those powers and kind of expend them in search of your goals. It just seems like people are obsessed with going the route of deluxify, because that's what gets noticed on Kickstarter, and that's what turns heads. And unfortunately, that comes with an extra cost. So total cost for this game would be $200. to get to my door in Canada. 25 bucks shipping to US and Canada, and then significantly more to anywhere else. So again, it seems fun. I like the ideas behind it. It kind of gives me the same visual vibe as Crossmaster Quest or Crossmaster Arena, which is a game that I have, and I've made Zach learn how to play so that he can teach me, and I don't have to read through those rule books as well when I'm trying to get games off of my shelf of shame while I'm spending my time reading these rule books instead. So it kind of gives me that same vibe, but because it gives me that same vibe, I am immediately thinking about all the other sort of games that already exist that do a similar thing, and I don't see too much of an upgrade from the second edition, from the first edition to the second edition, other than these sort of like real cosmetic bump ups. I get that you get the additional player boards and you get additional scenarios, right? But for me, just doesn't seem worth it for the price. And I hate saying that because creator's Canadian, but you know what? I said what I said. I'm also cheap, so there you go. But if you're interested in that, it finishes Friday, September 30th at 2:08 p.m. This Friday, upcoming. Next up, we have Elric, Rise of the Young Kingdom, and why I'm down here is I'm going to start doing this. How far do you have to scroll down to get to the rulebook? This is about 3/4 of the way down the campaign page before you get any semblance of the rules. Shame on you. We're starting every campaign off just like that. Let's go right back to the top and talk about Elric, Rise of Young Kingdoms. And this one actually seems fairly interesting. It's a semi-cooperative game where you will take on one of the emblematic nations in the Young Kingdoms, either the Purple Towns, the Bakshan, the Tarkesh, the Lormir, the Picari. Yeah, I just wanted to pronounce those correctly. And strategically deploy their warriors and heroes on a game board representing the city of Ymir, right? That's how it's pronounced. Ymir. Get on in, Ymir. All right, I'm sorry. Let's go back to the video. That's the only reason I wanted to cut to the rulebook right now. The other thing that I wanted to point out that is funny in the rulebook is that if one of the players' first name is Elric, then they're the first player. If not, then you do it randomly. Again, if there's one way into this old curmudgeon-y heart of mine, it's stupid things like that. It's giving me a reason to legally change my name to Elric just so that I can be first player, providing it provides an advantage. Now, there are a couple things that I do like and are exciting about this game. Number one is, not that it's semi-co-op, but the fact that the rewards will be distributed, and that'll be determined by the players. It won't be determined by the actual cards. They're going to give a number of rewards, and then these rewards are going to be distributed to the players. That is what sort of excited me about Moonrakers, and that is what I think really makes a fun semi-cooperative game shine, in that there's a lot of negotiation here. Again, I like negotiation, so obviously that makes it pop a little bit more for me. And two, I also like the idea of this little auction phase that's going to be happening throughout the game. So you're going to have your main actions. You're going to, where's the board? There it is. You're going to start on the sort of the outskirts of the city and move in towards the capital area of Mimir, you know, the most important place in the city, by Michael Moorcock. That's the author who created the world. And you're going to throw your troops in there and try to defeat the castle. And once you defeat the final guard, then you tally up points and whatever, who wins. Figure out who wins. But along the way, you're going to be getting this little auction phase where you get all the loot cards that you've gathered from little battles that you've taken place along the way, and then you can use those loot cards to bid for advantages and bid to control the Elric, who is like the super powerful best fighter. That's why, again, I'm changing my name legally to Elric Corge. I don't Elric. Nothing's coming to me. To Elric George. I find the iconography a little bit weird to read. Maybe it's better in practice, but the fact that you can see, if you look, I'll zoom in. Look at that. Look how nice that is. If you see these little outlines, those designate kind of like the defenses and attack stats and where you can place people as well and move them sort of in and out of the or around the board. So the map doesn't feel like super readable to me, but that's not a big deal. Once you get the hang of a game, right, you kind of get entrenched in it anyway. That's a minor stupid thing that I didn't even need to bring up. Anyway, returning to the actual battles, you see here's a nice example that each sort of card that comes up when you're engaging as part of working your way through the castle of Ermiger. That's what it is. There it is. You fight off these various demons. You take the higher defense. You add their defense modifier, so you get your total defense of 13. And then you can ask for help for the allies. And if an ally joins you, then they're going to get their pick of a loot card, but you can negotiate how much choice they have in the matter. Do they get to pick first? Do they get to pick last? And then the ally can just be like, yeah, I'm totally, these are the other players around the board. They're like, I'm totally going to help you out. I'm going to add in 5 troops. And then it gets to them and they're just adding 1 troop. And then they're like, loot, please, which I like a lot. Yeah, so I think this one actually looks fairly fun. You can also back it in a French campaign as well, which is kind of their funding goal is down below. I absolutely hate that when you're scrolling down, they say pledges, it's 100 euros. Well, no, it's not. It's actually 75 euros. It's 75 euros for the game. And the 100 euros just gives you a little expansion set, Raiders of the Young Kingdom. And that turns me off quite a significant deal. You do get a couple big minis and some extra dice and whatever. Now it's a metal coin token that's locked that they're trying to unlock. I also think that the stretch goal of upgrading the levels of the city to 3D, it's always kind of fun. The Raiders of the Young Kingdom just kind of adds additional like companions and special units, which honestly, that sort of thing appeals to me, but not for the uptick in price of like 25 euros, but for the base pledge, which only 13 people are interested in because of that 100 being right at the front and making you think that you need it to play the game, which it certainly doesn't seem like you do to me, because you still get all of the unlocked goals and the Kickstarter exclusive goals with just purchasing the original pledge. But you know, I'm interested in the 75 euro pledge, but then again, to get to Canada, it's 26 euros. To get to the States, it's 25 euros. So about the same, yeah. So it would cost me about 133 to get this game to my door. And as far as a Kickstarter game with a bunch of minis, the mechanics are interesting enough to me that I think it's worth looking into further. So if you are interested in learning how to play, well, continue to keep going down past everything, and now you finally get to the rule book. Oh, it's nice they have a VAT calculator too if you're new to Kickstarter. Anyway, if you're interested in that one, that finishes Friday, September 30th at 5:59 p.m. On to Sagrada Artisans, which is a legacy game version of Sagrada. So you're going to go through this coloring book, basically, and that's what it is. It's bringing Sagrada into the coloring book world. We talked about how coloring your own trading cards might be exciting. Well, in Sagrada, now you get to color your own stained glass windows. And on one hand, this seems fun because you get to get that coloring book aspect to it. You get to go through the campaign. On the other hand, it means you cannot reset or really replay any of the scenarios in this game. It's a pure legacy game, and you are done when you're done, or you just take the dice like normal Sagrada and put it on the little section of where it is, rather than waiting and coloring things in a different way. So like this one, for example, you have a number of different stained glass patterns that you can get to, like a 4 dice has to go there, a 5 dice has to go there, but they're presuming that you will color this in, and then you can also color the outside as well. If you like that sort of coloring book style and would enjoy creating your masterpiece of art, of stained glass art after the game is done, might be something to consider. It is pretty pricey though. It's like $75 US for this one shot thing. That's $100 Canadian. It's the same as Elric. And honestly, for that price, I would prefer something a little bit more grand and something that I could play again. But I like legacy games, and I like Sagrada as well. I was not expecting this to be so expensive, because it's a coloring book. It's a very expensive coloring book. I'm a little disappointed at how expensive this actually is. It's calling itself a roll and write because you're rolling the dice and then, oh, you're scratching things in, right? You can also then customize your dice. You're going to have these little stickers that you can upgrade your dice as you go on, which is kind of fun. And, you know, you get your sort of legacy experiences that the tool cards, which are the standard things that you'll use every Sagrada game, they'll get more and more valuable as you go along throughout the game. I friggin' hate this, that, ooh, the Kickstarter bonus gets you 3 extra sets of colored pencils. What luxurious bonus. Just put them in the friggin' thing. Or you don't actually need them because, you know, you're going to be drafting the dice like Sagrada and then coloring it in one at a time. And so I guess if you're having more than one red, and then you can take your time coloring it in, it feels like the most zen legacy game I've seen. And if you know how to play Sagrada, See, I hate the $250 for a customizable deluxe dice tower. Get out of here. You can customize the colors in it. Don't spend your money on that. Spend your money on other board games. Seriously. But I mean, I like Sagrada. I just think the price point is very high, and you can see that the reset kit is almost the same price as the actual game, which, like, if you want to play it again, you can work around it and not color it in, which is what I think you should probably do. But Sagrada's also so popular that I don't see why it wouldn't be available at stores as well, and why you should pay the $20 or $30 shipping to get something that is already fairly expensive. I wouldn't do it, but I again really like Sagrada. So if you're interested, that finishes Friday, September 30th at 8:01 p.m. Moving along to the Fox Experiment, which is by Elizabeth Hargrave, who you might know from Wingspan, but it's also co-designed by Jeff Frazier, who I don't really know, but I feel some fondness towards. I met Jeff over Discord when I was playtesting Dinosaur Island Rarenrite, and I think he makes a really great rulebook. I think Jeff has done the rule books on a number of different games, and I can always see those rule books, and I can see his hand in them because they are succinct and very easy to read. This is also by Pandasaurus Games, who are never afraid to hide their rule book, and you know what? It's 1/3 down the page is where you get to the rule book, which currently is the record. We'll see which one ends up coming out on top. And how to play is very simple. It's Pandasaurus. Pandasaurus make really accessible games. I'm a big fan of Pandasaurus, and honestly, everything in their catalog I enjoy to some extent or the other. I think Pandasaurus have just been killing it, and I think this one looks very similar. You're going to draft the male fox, a female fox, and like a gear that you have at the beginning. You're gonna have these turn order tokens. So on your turn, you can choose to take your male fox, and then someone else could take their female fox, right? But you'll have 3 turns, and you'll get to get one of each of those 3 things to kind of level up. You're gonna get a male, a female, and some gear, and then you are going to create a new fox. You're gonna get the male and the female together. You're gonna put them into a room. You're gonna light some candles that have specifically like dead rabbit stench or whatever foxes are attracted to. You're gonna give them some privacy. You're gonna set it up a number of different ambiance areas. You're gonna put out a nice little fox-sized game of devilish dice and Spicify right beside it, and just let those foxes do their thing. Then you also have to wait 9 months actual time in the game. Actually, how long is a fox cub gestation period? Let's look that up. That feels like an important thing to look up, just to make sure we've got our facts right. Oh, it's only 40 to 60 days. That's nothing. You're going to wait 40 to 60 days. So the time on the box should say, because you're going to do this more than once, the time of the box should probably be about a year, or else they're lying to you. Even still, you're going to roll the dice associated with your male and your female fox. They're going to give you a number of dice. You're going to roll them, and you'll get traits for your baby fox. And you get to write those traits on a little, there you go, a little dry erase marker. And then you get to give the fox a name, which honestly, if you look in the rulebook examples, we got Smudge and Patch and Flopsy and Mopsy. And I think whoever named their foxes Flopsy and Mopsy probably did a lot better than the person who named their foxes Smudge and Patch, let's be honest. And then finally, you're going to have the research phase as well, which is where I'm at in the rulebook, where you're going to have these little studies that you're trying to accomplish. So you're going to use your pups to complete traits, which are like goals that you have to accomplish, and then you're going to to complete studies, and then you're going to collect trait tokens based upon the highest trait of your foxes. You're going to be like, yeah, look at this fox's beautiful tail, because you're a sick pervert who wants to just catcall your fox all day and objectify your fox. I don't know why you don't care about what your fox feels on the inside. You just want to talk about your fox's ears and how pointy they are, you sick freak. But that aside, then you can use those trait tokens as, cachet in the world and say, listen, my fox has the most beautiful fox bark. And everyone's going to go, yeah, I believe you, because I've never heard a fox bark in my life, but here we are. I trust you. And then you can use those to unlock upgrades, which help you, make more foxes down the line in this twisted breeding experiment that you keep on stuffing these foxes into. That aside, this looks fun. It's riding off the back of Elizabeth Hargrave's reputation, but I think this is a really fun thing if you want to get a deluxeified copy. There's a retail edition for $55 US, which we'll get to in a second, which gives you your little fox meeples as they go along. Oh, look how cute they are. And 80 dice, like a decent component count, but for $60 US, which obviously is the way to go for a $5 bump. You get screen printed meeples, you get metal tokens, and you get marbled dice, and you get plastic trait tokens instead of cardboard trait tokens. This is the sort of campaign where the $55 retail only exists to set the bar of what they want their MSRP to be, and also show you how great a deal you're getting. Back now, get it at deluxe, and you can get all this extra stuff. And honestly, it's working for me. Is it working for me at the $81 plus shipping level, which they say in this note that they hope it's going to be under $25 for certain spots? That's way too much money. Again, that's over that $100 price point, which for a game that I think will be of a substantial, I hesitate to say of a substantial size as Wingspan, but I do think in terms of like component count and potential quality, I think it looks like it should be around that similar bar, especially because you get all those custom dice as well. I just don't see myself paying $100 when Pandasaurus also has like the best sales ever down the line. If you can wait and you can wait for it to come out, I don't know. But that being said, honestly, I really am a fan of Pandasaurus's games and what they have been doing, and apparently a lot of other people are fans too. And this is a company that I don't mind supporting, and I don't mind seeing do well, because I really like the stuff that they produce, and I think it is usually fairly priced. And other than the difference between, retail and the deluxe, to push you to get the deluxe so that they don't undersell themselves, so that they can do MSRP 55 later on, I think it could be okay. Just looking at those cool dice, I think the mechanics of this one looks fun. So if you're interested in that, check it out. The finishes Saturday, October 1st at 12:49 a.m. aka Friday night. Next up, just quickly, we've got this thing, Playground for Entrepreneurs board game. And if you thought, wow, this doesn't look like a board game, you'd be right. It's a coaching tool. And it says it's a coaching tool in the video, so honestly, I'm not going to give you shade, Playground. I'm happy that you're trying to incorporate some sense of play into your coaching to trick your employees that they're not working or they're not developing their skills. But they're having fun. I still think you should just play Blood Rage, but what are you going to do? So just if you were scrolling through Kickstarter and you notice this, well, keep on walking, because it's not for you. I guarantee it. My target audience, I love you so much. Moving on, we have MORPHO, the social deduction game for 3 to 9 players, and I have done a review on this game. If you want the full review, you can go to their page and you can scroll down and you can see my ugly face just looking at you. And I was really intrigued by this game. Actually, here it is. It looks like this. This is a small social deduction game where the gimmick of it is that you get 2 roles instead of 1. You have 2 different roles, and the whole game is about gathering information rather than really using those roles. Yeah, look, there are the roles on the screen right now. So you will have either roles that conflict with each other. So the blue team and the red team obviously conflict. So you have to get rid of those roles or one of them until you can actually activate their effect. Like this. Oh, now you have 2 killers. Now you can use the killer's effect. There's also a neutral faction called the Deserters that just want to get the heck out of there. And this is one where I enjoyed it. I don't want to oversell it, because I still think Coup is a better game, and I think Coup is a lot more accessible as well. I said this in my review, but people were having a difficult time catching on to the strategy of it, and trying to do things that they weren't allowed to do made them a little frustrated. I also think that the Deserter faction doesn't feel as viable as I want it to. But what is neat about this, and honestly is a bad call, for their marketing, is that they have free shipping to the US and to the UK. So if you are in the US, UK, you should, I think, look into this, because it's an all right price point. If you're not, then you shouldn't. I think they should have shown a lower price point to showcase the actual savings, because usually it just feels like 24 to 30 bucks is expensive for a sort of Coup-like game when you're really factoring in the free shipping, right? If you are interested, it's not too much more to get these PVC cards. PVC cards have been having a boom lately, and you get some upgraded tokens and stuff. These aren't necessary, but because social deduction games are usually played in a social situation, this might actually be the apt time to get PVC cards. I mean, again, I think it's slightly more complicated and less easy to pull out when people are like drinking and just hanging around than something like Coup, which is a bit similar, or Avalon. I'll probably go towards those more than MORPHO, but I still intend to hold on to MORPHO, at least for a while, because it was a fun little puzzle, and it gives a significantly different feel than something like Coup and Avalon, because it's more about gathering information. It's less about the deduction. It's more about how quickly can you gather the information needed to find the perfect information, or are you going to take a risk? There's an interesting balance there that I appreciate a lot. So if you're in the US and UK and you can get free shipping, I'd say that's fairly decent. Again, it's still like $30 US, which is $41 Canadian. So even if you're taking 15 for shipping, because it's only a small little card game, right? Well, look what that is. I didn't mean to stop there, but I did. It's still on the pricey side. I think it might be more expensive than it is worth, but you're supporting a smaller company and it's a decent enough game. So if you like the genre, definitely check it out. That finishes Saturday, October 1st at 12 p.m. Moving along to the Kingdom Builder Anniversary Edition. It wouldn't be a crowdfunding countdown if there wasn't something from Queen Games. And Kingdom Builder just had a friggin' campaign, and an expensive campaign. And this one is equally as expensive. I think they had a big box last time. Let's see how... I hate this so much. Ugh. Well, at least it's cheaper than... I hate you, Queen Games. Let me just say this again. I hate you, Queen Games. I want to like you. I love Thieves. Kingdom Builder, honestly, looks fun. But the fact that you just had this campaign for this 10-year anniversary Empire Edition, which was so overpriced, and now you're coming back with this Anniversary Edition, which, oh my goodness, it's the same graphic. Go back and forth. Empire Edition, Anniversary Edition. You just don't get the big box, everything stuffed in it. Honestly, you know what? Maybe I take it back. Maybe I do take it back. I don't hate you that much. This actually might be a really good thing. Queen Games just gets me so upset. You can tell this is in my initial first look because I'm feeling the emotions, but also I know how to play Kingdom Builder, so it helps that I can just kind of record it off the cuff. Basically, you're gonna play on your turn one of these terrain cards, and then you're gonna put up to three of your own buildings on that specific terrain. That's it. You want to get the most gold. Gold happens when you're next to stuff or adjacency, and the rules vary depending on what cards you have in play and which ones you don't. So I appreciate that there is a way to get the 10th Anniversary Edition for those who really like Kingdom Builder at a lower cost, even though it's still an early bird right now. Oh, there's only one left because somebody dropped out. Even though it still costs $90 US, $122 Canadian, and after shipping, it's $150 Canadian for a game that I can get non-anniversary edition for $63.95. I get it. People like their anniversary editions. People like the upgraded tiles. The fact that you have received my notes specifically from the previous Empire Edition and have scaled it down into this Anniversary Edition. Well, I take back all the mean things I said about you, Queen Games. You're my hero now. It's still too much. Like, you don't need an Anniversary Edition for this game, even though it looks fun. Like, I haven't played it, but I know it's a good game, but I also know that, like, my enjoyment of it will never live up to the cost that Queen Games wants me to pay. But if you're interested, check it out. That finishes Saturday, October 1st at 5 p.m. That was, yeah, look, I highlighted the right thing. Good job. Moving along. No, we already did that one. Over on GameFound, we have Watch Hockey, Get Drunk. And this is the new hockey drinking game that's designed to be played while watching a live hockey game on TV. So gather your friends and turn on your favorite TV to watch hockey and get drunk. Now, I always thought that, you didn't really need a card game to get drunk while watching hockey. It was kind of the point of just sitting and watching and drinking. But this turns a hockey game into the actual drinking game. And you know what? If that's your thing, I love you for it. Enjoy this funny card game that's actually a drunky card game. Yeah. Somebody's got to look into them. You just have a bunch of rules. So if somebody gets in a fight, you drink. Well, I have cards in my hand. If the puck goes in, haha, now you drink. And then I love this. They say there's like a bunch of other rules. There's an intermission cards that you can just pull up and make people drink more, or like have trivia questions if you can't stand each other's company, or can't talk about what has happened, or have nothing else to say to each other. I'm sorry, Dad. Let's keep the TV going. It's the only thing keeping us together. Uh, yeah, they have these intermission cards where you can do that, and and then they say at the end of the video, and then when the hockey game ends, everybody's won. And really, yeah, there's no point to a drinking game other than making everyone drunk. No real winners, but that means no real losers. And honestly, this, come on, it's $15 US, and they could have charged 20 for it. They really could have, and I am appreciative, and like that's what they're planning on charging, because it's just a deck of cards, right? But I'm really appreciative that it is only 15 US, and that makes it my pick of the week. If you're interested in watching hockey and getting drunk, that finishes October 3rd at 2:59 a.m., aka Sunday night, the perfect time after that late hockey game has finished. Shipping's also honestly decent. I don't have anything bad to say about this game, and that is so surprising to me based around the theme. It knows what it is. It's serving an audience, and honestly, watch hockey get drunk. Way to go. You're my hero. I'm incredibly surprised that it's only raised $15,000, but then again, it's not really the target audience. I wonder if there's how much intersect there is between super hardcore board gamer and having time to watch hockey because you're too busy looking through another rule book. Next up, in their own addition to the roll and write genre, we have Roll and Ghost. So it's a new roll and write game. It's kind of like a roll and write, but instead of writing, you just get a ghost from your wall and just slam it against the paper, and like really like you're an abusive 80s bully in a public bathroom. And it's very simple. This is another one of those $5 print and plays, $7 Canadian, $5 US, where you're going to roll some dice, you're going to see who wins. It's another roll and write, and if you like those sorts of things, it's not a bad thing. There's going to be a number of different rooms, and so you're going to roll these 2 black dice, and they're going to be your movement dice, and that'll choose or let you choose what rooms you can go into, and then you're going to use your other dice to search the room and essentially catch the ghost, or open a portal, or look into things, or steal some shiny treasure. And then very much like Rolling Realms, if you've played it, I just played it recently, you can also use these things as resources to manipulate dice to give you better things. So there's hopefully going to be an interesting sort of combo system. What I don't necessarily think is very exciting is there's this little scarometer. I know. I mean, I do think a scarometer is exciting. Let's be real. I have one in every room of my house just to measure how terrified I get when I'm alone. But at the end of your turn, you're just going to roll a dice and you might just die. And that just doesn't seem like it's a good choice or a good thing. It should even exist. Just cut the scarometer completely and I think you'll be completely fine. I do like that they're slowly unlocking a few more characters so that each page, each sheet, because everybody gets a sheet, you kind of do your own scratching on this lower corner, which again doesn't feel like a smart design choice. It should probably be on just 2 separate sheets, but I do like that your characters you can save dice and you can have extra one-time use abilities as well. And that, I feel, will keep things fresh in addition to the cycling of the rules. They say you can have this on an app, and I feel like that sort of randomization will be key to setting this up. I don't know how they're going to deal with that, but again, if you like that sort of stuff, it's only $5. So if you're interested, check that out. That finishes next Monday, October 3rd at 9 a.m. And honestly, that's it. That's it for this week. I realized we can cut the week, and then next Monday, I can tell you everything that's finishing from next Tuesday onward, because time works in a different way on the internet, and you can actually schedule things and not worry about having a supersized 2-hour video that you can then just parcel through. So part 2 of this episode is coming out next week, and that's different from the normal crowdfunding countdown, and I will call it episode 61 part 2, just to really throw off my own count and confuse everyone involved. But every week I have a pick for me and a pick for you, the pick for me being the thing that I am the most interested in, and the pick for you being what I think you should get, what I think if you were to get, you would enjoy. And honestly, there's some pretty satisfying options this time around. Let's be real, Watch Hockey Get Drunk is almost up there, but I think the pick for me is gonna have to be Elric Rise of Kingdoms. Yeah, I think this one looks fun. I really do. I think that this is, woof, see that fire. Wow. Spicy. Yeah, I think there's a lot going in for this game that I like, and it's a game that I didn't think looked good at all from what they were putting forward. And then actually looking at the mechanics of the thing, I'm like, oh, this actually appeals to me and my interests. I like the semi-co-op aspect of it because I like being able to say that I like lying. It's surprising I didn't pick Lying Pirates, but this one, has a bit more lying. I like that I can say, yeah, I am gonna help you with that quest, and then only just sort of limp in and get some rewards, or really take the brunt of it and get my choice of the loot. I like that auction phase feels like it's going to be dynamic. The price is okay. It's a minis based game. After the shipping, again, it's 133 Canadian because I'm not getting the deluxe pledge with the extra characters, which I see those, being fun, but I don't see those necessarily elevating it beyond what I want to pay for it. 133 still feels like it is a bit expensive, but this also feels like it may not be one to get to retail, so that's why I'm considering it. That's my pick for me. My pick for me is Elric Rise of the Young Kingdom. Yeah, Young Kingdoms, I got it right. I really didn't think I did. Yeah, that one seems fun. I am excited about it. And then my pick for you is going to exist, although it might happen at retail, and that's probably giving it away because I want to give it away because I want to talk about it. It is going to be the Fox Experiment by Pandasaurus, mainly because I like Pandasaurus. Honestly, I think you should wait for the Fox Experiment to come out and then go and get it on sale at a convention. Pandasaurus sales at conventions are friggin' incredible. They're a booth that everyone should visit if you are attending any convention, and you should pick something up because they make it worth your while to be there. I'm such a Pandasaurus fan, you know this. I still need to officially review Sobek and Skull Mountain Ski Fest and Dinosaur Island Roar Night, which Matt still has. But this one looks fun. I think this also captures the stupid, fun legacy aspect of naming your foxes and being able to write down their traits with the dry erase markers. That feels like a really fun time. The reason it is the pick for you is because I also think the deluxe, the increase in what you get potentially can offset that shipping. Now, this is really tentative because I don't like that they don't have an estimated shipping. They just say, hey, we're going to try to make it less than $25. And that, to me, honestly, is unacceptable. It is really unacceptable. You know what? I take it back. There's no pick for you. There's no pick for you. Fox Experiment lost it right now. Yeah, with not specifying the amount of shipping that it's going to be. 25 is a lot for that increase, so you have to assume that it is $25 in shipping, and you have to see if you'd be willing to pay $85 in total US to get this to your door, which, if Wingspan is around that $60 price point as well, and you're getting these upgraded dice and some plastic, maybe that's worth it to you if you really love the feel of plastic. I just, again, don't think it needs it, but I'm really torn on this one. So I am going to say it's a pick for you, because I think we'll base it more not on the value of the stretch goals, which is something that we can analyze right now, but more on the gameplay experience itself. And if you want another accessible sort of game with charming artwork, let's go back to it, with charming artwork and the naming that really, really gets me, I think it's going to be an interesting core gameplay loop. And I like Pandasaurus, but I gotta say, if it was anyone other than Pandasaurus, I think I'm letting my I'm letting my fondness for Pandasaurus get the better of me. I believe them when they say this, but it is a scary statement to make. I understand why they're saying it, but again, it's like, listen, we're going to try for it to be under $25, but maybe it'll go up, but we're going to try. Like, I understand, and I imagine it will be less, but still, on the backs of that, I think you should wait until retail. I think you gotta. I just think you do. Anyway, those are my picks of the week. That's it for this week. Next week will be Monday morning. There will be another episode because I'm about to film it right now. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in. As always, let me know what you are excited about in the comments below, because I'm always eager to hear what you are excited about in case I miss something as well. But if you say I'm excited about something upcoming, well, I'm not going to know because I'm going to film the next one right now. Part 2 will happen. Either way, thanks for sticking around. Thanks for being here. I like doing this. I like hanging out with you all. And get that out a little bit out of the way so I can connect with you better. We're gonna end it, but thank you for sticking around. My name's Chris George. Dang it, I don't have a catchphrase. I had it on a scrap of paper. It was outside, taped to my door, and I said, listen, you can't leave without making sure you get this catchphrase on camera. And then I don't know what happened to it. I think Flopsy and Mopsy may have done some terrible things on it, and if just nobody should have to witness that, even the researchers. Anyway, thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next one.